18 days left. We're getting close every single day. Today we're going to take a look at playable characters. The characters that we're going to control and the characters who are important to the story. So much so that we are giving controls to experience their journey and their story. I got this idea from TLOU2 YouTuber. He does Last of Us 2 videos, and it was interesting to see how people on the other side who are not aware of the leaks, what do they think and they believe regarding the playable characters, because Ellie is not the only one, but we'll talk about all of this in today's video. So let's just get started. Now we're gonna start off with the emotional one, the sad one, Joel. Now the first game was of course all Joel's story. We played Joel's lifespan timeline, how the mess started, how it affected him, all the way up till the ending in the Fireflies department, where we see probably one of the best endings of any video game out there, where we see the relationship changing, but also the characters and personality shift and transitioning. Joel being more protective, Ellie being confused, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to feel, and just being curious, not knowing the answers that she wants to know, but at the same time still putting up with everything that's going around her, knowing that Joel is the only one who she can actually trust. But what about the lies, the truth about Fireflies, like what is going on? All of that was such a fantastic storytelling, and it makes you wonder, how are they going to tackle that in the second game, in the sequel? Is it going to be as better, as good, as memorable as the first one? Is it going to be better than the first one? Is it going to be the worse? Either way, Joel in this game, even though it has been confirmed from the get-go that you're playing the game as Ellie, this is Ellie's story now, you moved on from Joel. However, it was learned both from the leaked gameplay and the story trailer state of play that you do play as Joel in the prologue. Maybe that is the only part where you play as Joel. The prologue that I've seen in the leaks, out of all the leaks, it is the only time where I actually see us controlling Joel. Nothing more, nothing less. It is actually kind of scary that that is literally the last time you play as Joel. I should have said spoilers in the beginning, but since we're here, we're gonna move on. The prologue starts with, of course, Joel narrating the ending of the first game to Tommy, because remember when they left Fireflies, they went here, they went to Tommy's, because Tommy in Jackson has his group, everything is working out for them, because you remember what happened in the first game, how Tommy and Tommy's wife and Joel, they actually worked out together on all of this, so it actually makes sense for them to go back to Tommy's, and Tommy learns about all of this, and that his first instinct was, what did you tell Ellie? You gotta tell her the truth. One day it'll come back to bite you, and one day this relationship will be completely different. It was already different, but you know, it is what it is. And we then see Joel and Ellie bonding even more, even further. We go back to Tommy's group and all of the good stuff happens. So, you know, it is just wholesome. The first part of the game, it's just wholesome. It reminds you how good of the first game was and how much impact it had made over the players that experienced the first game. I just saw again 10 million copies were sold specifically for The Last of Us Remastered. 10 million copies, that's a lot of copies for a remaster. That was the first playable character. The second one, of course, I'm gonna talk about Ellie. Ellie is the second playable character. I'm going through a timeline section wise. So it starts off with prologue, playing as Joel, then it cuts to the current time and you play as Ellie. Ellie is now mature, 19 of course, and I now understand why they made her 19 instead of 18 or 17 or even 21. It's interesting how it's gonna play out, because in the leaks we see right after the prologue she wakes up, and I believe the way they're showing back and forth for Joel is Ellie trying to make sense out of the situation, trying to figure out what Joel is doing for her versus what Joel did to her in the first game regarding Fireflies. And it's such a cool concept. It's such a fascinating concept. Any story that makes you think deep for the characters without actually making you think, that's a good storytelling in my book. Either way, Ellie of course will control most of the game regarding her, most of the weapon upgrades and supplies and everything, because it is her story, her journey after the first game all the way till the end. What will be the ending, we are not sure, but it is widely believed that it has something to do with Ellie versus, spoilers alert, Abbey, which we'll come to in just a second, and some fight will break out again, not the first time. The first fight where they meet each other, they encounter, that was the first time, and then the second time where Ellie hunts Abbey again. And then there is a third time, the final showdown. It is widely believed the two ones are actually confirmed from the leaks. The third one, it is a speculation. We are not sure about that. But either way, you play as Ellie most of the game, and that's how the story spans out. The third one, now this one is very interesting. It's Abbey, if you already didn't know. Abbey character, we talked about her. I don't want to go into the details, but when it comes to the playability and how it fits into the story, it is interesting because you experience some events of the timeline of this entire sequel twice. One from Abby's perspective and the other one from Ellie's perspective, because they want to show you both stories and both journeys progressing and the reason for their progression and the reason for the events that's happening around you. So if Ellie sees some conflicts around her, then you get to see those conflicts, why it has happened, and then you realize that it connects to the Ellie's gameplay and Ellie's gameplay connects to Abby's gameplay. So if you do something, if you create some distraction in Ellie's playthrough, when you're playing as Abbey, you get that distraction, you see that distraction, and now it's your turn to investigate. You get my point, what I'm trying to say here. So it's a cool element of the game, the addition. That is why you see Rest in Peace Golf Club session twice, one from Abby's perspective and one from Ellie's perspective. One, of course, you see how everything led to wherever she did, and post doing that, there is a siren of I don't know what's going on, and it's just this disconnection from the reality, disconnection from the world, like just something bad has happened, something has just dropped. And from Ellie's perspective, you see what is going on, and she's just in disbelief. She's asking to stop, and post happening golf club session, she's just threatening, I'm gonna kill you, all of that. She's crying, her emotions are all over the place, and before she could even say anything, she blacks out. So it is really interesting how you are playing this three-way. Joel starts, then it goes back into the dust, and then you play as Abbey, and then you play as Ellie, and then you go back and forth. And I believe this back and forth is gonna keep going until the end, until pretty much the end. You're gonna see the ending from both perspectives. I hope that when it comes to the ending, most of the controls are from Ellie's perspective, and I really hope the ending is we killing Abbey. That is the perfect way. I know some people say that would be lame for them to just introduce a character such as Abbey, give her this much push, killing Joel like that, and then just getting bodied by Ellie. I mean, what was the purpose of all of this build up and hype? Not to mention her physique. Can't she just go one-on-one easily with Ellie? Ellie is not as strong as Abby's being portrayed, so obviously and surely if Abbey wanted it, she would have killed Ellie a long time ago, right? That is the plot that's been given in the leaks so far. So what does Ellie do from here? What does Abbey do from here? That's the main question, because we know Ellie is just gonna hunt now Abbey until she's dead. She will make sure that every single person who was involved in golf club session, and every single person who even led to the kidnapping of Tommy and Joel, and every single person that helped Abbey throughout the way, Ellie will not rest until each and every single one of them dies. And I like that mentality. So Ellie's path is straightforward. She knows what to do. What about Abbey? After doing the golf club session, what does she do? Where does she go? All of the justice that she's been waiting for years, she finally gets it. Now what does she do? What's her plot? What's her purpose in life? What does she do from here? Because Ellie had so much on her plate. Firstly, Joel. So much to learn from Joel. Second, Fireflies. And Fireflies still will play a role in here. Then Dina. Then Dina's baby. So much stuff to do, and all she cares about now is to hunt down Joel's killer and put an end to this once and for all. And not just end Joel's killer, but to cut all the loose ends that even connected even remotely to Abbey. And I like that. And what does Abbey do from here? That's gonna be very interesting. I know the most of the Abby's gameplay is gonna be learning about her backstory, the events that led to her finding Tommy and Joel, the events that led her to getting a one-on-one with Ellie. But it is interesting how all of this will play out. I don't think there will be more than 3 playable characters: Joel, Ellie, and Abbey. Joel and Ellie are of course compulsory and mandatory. Abbey, she was just snuck into the story last minute. Listen, Naughty Dog knew from the get-go what they want to do. Neil Druckmann knew exactly what he wants to do ever since they started working on the sequel. So I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see on how this whole thing play out, because we've seen from the leaks that Abbey does do some stealth and aggressive gameplay missions and chapters. if that makes any sense. As much as Ellie will do, Abbey will do as well, so we'll just have to wait and see. And I really hope that I don't get to see that purple bow and arrow ever again. Like, Abbey, use a grown-up. You is a grown-up. Use something else other than purple. I'm just kidding. Relax. Last time when I made this joke, you guys were on me for that. Relax, it's a joke. Come on, it's just hilarious how a strong woman like Abbey is using a purple bow and arrow. It was just funny to me, alright? I have a terrible sense of humor if you didn't get it already. Anyways, 18 days left. We'll see you boys on the flip side.